Ted and I often talk about finding the right instrument, the right piano for you, and how difficult that process can be. But what if you're not a person? What if you're an institution like a college or university or performing arts center? You don't need just one piano, but you need 50 pianos. It's a difficult process, and we're going to talk about the tools available to you if you are that decision maker or if you're a faculty looking to make a purchase decision on a fleet of pianos for your institution.
Hi, this is Ted with Alamo Music Center, coming to you from the beautiful campus here in UTSA, San Antonio, Texas.
I'm Patrick Marr. You can find us online at alamomusic.com. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channels, check out our other videos, sign up for notifications, like our videos, leave us comments. We appreciate your support, and we love to interact with you.
Before we get going on this video, is this not the coolest setting?
It is.
With the piano.
I mean, we're too fancy. The premise of this video is there's a lot of tools available to universities, to schools of music, to fine arts departments that I don't think are generally aware. It's hard to find this information. I would say the best manufacturer at kind of providing this information is Steinway over the years, and they have all these programs set up where they really try to hook you with like this all Steinway's cool.
Steinway's cool.
Yeah, and they have powerful marketing behind, hey, we're here to help you. But I think a lot of people don't realize that manufacturers are set out with the intention of hey, we want our product to be in an institution. We think we have the best product, and we're willing to help any way we can to get our product to an institution, to a school, because we really truly believe we make the best instrument. And so, when you look at some of the top manufacturers, especially the ones that can fulfill an order for a school, there's only a handful.
The other thing too, it's not just this piano. I mean, there are the workhorse uprights that have to be there for the other music students as well as piano students. And so there's like uprights, there's consoles, and then there's moderate grants.
There's classroom grants.
Classrooms for grants, and then the professors usually want something decent in their office because that's where they have a lot of their private lessons and tutoring at. And so it's a big dispersion of all different kind of keyboard instruments that go into like a piano department at a school of
and budgeting for that and figuring out how you can afford it can be a difficult process, because do you load it top heavy? Do you get the nicest one for the stage and then settle for the rest? Do you disperse the wealth?
Right.
And so there's these decisions that need to be made, and the purpose of this video is to kind of talk about some of the tools that are at your disposal.
What's the cost of 50 pianos with one of these? So we need 49 to go into the rest of the music rooms or offices or whatever they are. Who picks the model and the level of the piano, and how does a school finance that? Because that's a humongous purchase.
Yeah, and so one of the most important things that I think a lot that is available to a lot of people, and they don't realize it, is a fleet analysis. And so a fleet analysis will usually be done either by a manufacturer or by a dealer partner in the area. So a fleet analysis basically means someone comes out and does a rundown of every single instrument that you currently have and the condition of the instrument. And so they'll say, okay, you have 37 pianos, 20 of them are in practice studios. They're old Baldwins, they're ranging from 25 years old to 35 years old. And this is the grade I would give them. This is what it would take to get into better condition. This is the trade-in value if you were interested. And so there is something called a fleet analysis, and I would highly recommend schools calling local dealers, calling manufacturers, and trying to set that up, because it is invaluable to really get that information. It gives you a top-down view from, and usually they're not sending like a salesperson out to try to sell you a product. They're actually trying to get this is the serial number, this is the year, this is the make, and hopefully you have somebody who is transparent in that, because it's a difficult process. It's not like it doesn't happen in 1 minute and they're like, okay, I'm just going to take a picture of everything. But it's really useful information for an institution. It's useful if you are going to the funding. If you're going to the people who make the financial decisions, and you're saying, look at this is what I have. This is what I need, and connecting those dots. This is, I think, the first step is getting a fleet analysis. And usually it shouldn't cost you anything. It should be done at a service of
A lot of times there's what I refer to as like, they're not really, you mentioned they're not really sales guys. They're like manufacturers, consultants, or
even technicians sometimes.
Even technicians can step in the middle and go in and look at all the pianos and say, look, even though you have some old pianos, half of them are still really good. And so we recommend moving those down to maybe your entry line students. And then the other thing too is a lot of times they're looking for at least one, sometimes two rooms to set up as a piano or a keyboard lab, because they have to accommodate almost every music student has to go through some kind of piano pedagogy or keyboard class.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I think something that's very important is knowing the technology that's available, and that can be, it can be hard to find readily.
Well, you have at a typical, let's just say Kawai or Yamaha at manufacturing facility, you have a number of different kind of sales guys. You have guys that are in the store having a great time retailing stuff. And then you have guys that are dedicated to where they never really see a customer until they make an appointment, and they go there and they talk about, here's a lab, here's this, here's what 5 uprights and 5 grands and 1 performance piano will cost you. And we have designated that these will replace these in your fleet.
Well, and I think just from what's available as far as technology, the piano labs have been around for, we did a video on the Wurlitzer,
before the 200.
Well, no, it was their classroom model. It was
their
like the
classroom model
214 or
on
something.
wheels.
And so, it literally had like a light up sign that when you hit a chord, it would light up on the staff and light up on the keys. And that was like the primitive technology for a keyboard lab. And here we are today, and there's so many tools available with headphones and hearing different students. And maybe finding a need that you didn't know you had is something that's really cool, especially for those intro to piano classes and getting the right instruments in front of the kids. And so uncovering the products that you might not know exist, and that might also be cheaper than what you were imagined that you need to spend on a whole bunch of a classroom of pianos. And so seeing the most up-to-date technology and kind of getting I would say a rundown of what's available, I think is important. I would say the leaders in this technology are going to be, there's Yamaha, Kawai, Roland, and Casio even makes a lab. But those are like the labs that I would say really shine as far as technology and shine on keyboard actions and samples. And what's available.
And attractiveness to the students. They're going to want to go in there and practice.
Yeah, and so we've set up a number of these labs in San Antonio, and it's it's something that if you have questions about it, please don't hesitate to reach out and ask questions. The products there, they update every couple of years, and so knowing what that technology is and how you can take full advantage of it, I think is important. So fleet analysis, know your technology. I would also say there are really cool opportunities with manufacturers. I'm going to speak about Kawai because it's one of the ones that we represent. But here at the University of Texas, we've actually partnered with them in a loaner program where we have been able to offer X amount of pianos that they don't have to outright buy, but they're eventually going to be, making purchasing decisions and figuring out what they want to be buying and so they're basically getting a trial on these instruments at really no cost to them, and they get the opportunity to play with them in the classrooms, in the rehearsal studios, and they really get to see up front what these instruments can do.
Sure. And the other thing too is that different size institutions, colleges, universities, and music schools, I mean, not everybody needs 50 pianos. Sometimes it might be, well, we have 25 total and we have 5 or 6 we need to replace kind of immediately, and maybe 5 or 6 that are coming down in the next 4 or 5 years. And so that's where that loaner program works in, because it's like, we're going to buy 3 or 4 right now, or 5, and we'll commit to purchasing 5, and then a lot of times there's a program that allows them to borrow up or loan against however they're purchasing, and that when they hit those purchase price of those 5, they start taking down the others that have been lent. But a lot of times those loaner ones are pulled out and they're sold at discount and new ones go in. So there's different programs for different size schools and purchase volume as well.
And so one of the pianos that we do have here for a little bit for some special occasions is this Shigeru Kawai, the SKEX. We're actually going to listen to a performance on it by 2 incredible pianists, and just they're one of them is a faculty here at the UTSA, University of Texas in San Antonio, and one of them is actually a graduate student. So we will get them playing so we can hear this wonderful instrument. We don't want to bore you to death with all the talking, but let's listen. What a 9-foot, 1 of 11 made in, in 2022, one of 11. This is actually 2021. And we're going to listen to it and just hear how amazing it sounds in this concert hall.
So what I was thinking, if you have performers like this and we bring this piano out for a special event, whatever the school or institution is, that's a perfect time to have like a fundraiser or gather up people and say, look at how great we would sound in our auditorium, in our performance hall, even in our sanctuary on Sundays and Wednesday nights at the church. Imagine how more uplifting it would be to have a phenomenal instrument.
Yeah, and this is one of the more common kind of traditional ways to gather funds for an instrument purchase is, hey, we're going to do a big fundraiser event, or we're going to be doing, we're looking for donors for these instruments, and this is probably something that most schools will gravitate towards. But having a performance, I think, is a great idea in the Performing Arts Center. Borrowing an instrument, one maybe that you were looking to purchase for the institution, say, hey, this is a piano that we're trying to afford, and we brought you guys here today, a special guest, and and fundraising because of the instrument there.
Observe the pizzazz of this instrument and imagine it in your place.
And so that's a great idea, and really kind of brings to life what the goal is for the institution or the school.
Look at how many churches, the minute they get focused on this, or they hear a piano, or they get focused on let's upgrade our piano to a 6 or 7 foot, I mean, a dedicated congregation or a donor base can make it happen almost immediately.
And one of the last things that I want to leave us with is the flexibility that manufacturers have, that stores have, and what you can potentially ask for. And so service packages, I think, is something that gets left off a lot of the times when asking for instruments for the institution. Hey, we're looking for 30 pianos, but then, after that, that's just like
They're gone.
An open and closed deal. Yep. So there are service packages available. It's something that manufacturers will get creative about, and they'll say, hey, we'll offer
constant tunings.
Yeah, we'll offer 3 years of tunings, or and you can ask for those things. There'll be a price tag on them, but those are things that they can put together, and you can actually have
budget.
You can budget for, and you can have a plan for your pianos that last longer than this is a one-time purchase. We need the piano. That's it. I know a lot of schools also have tuners on staff, and so there are reimbursement packages for those tuners as well. And so this is just creative thinking on what you can ask for. Not fundraising, but lease to own options also is another availability that manufacturers and dealers are probably going to be very I'd say they're open-minded on these things. Hey, this is a university or school. If they want to commit X amount every year, we could probably commit X amount of inventory up front, and then it kind of just fulfills as the budget clears every year.
Well, there's no fear in having a proposal presented. I mean, most people are like, I love proposals. That means someone's already done all the thinking. You don't have to sit here and invent stuff. It's like, okay, I have an idea. I need 10 pianos, and I have this amount of cash flow for the next 4.5 years. After that, I'm going to get a little bit more. Is there a way you can help me with this? It's like, immediately, yes. Because it's a proposal. So can I get 5 or 6 pianos that are brand new, and maybe you can give me a couple more to borrow until I get to that 4-year mark where the money goes up, and then I start paying for those. And everyone loves a proposal because it kind of puts everything right into perspective.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is what he needs, this is what he wants, this is what he thought about, and this is what he's willing to do. As an institution, meaning, whoever it is.
And lastly, I would encourage, you if you're with the committee, if you're looking personally for your institution, find somebody that you relate with, find somebody you can trust. This is music. A lot of times it can seem like it's numbers on a page, and you're really trying to fit budget, and you're trying to get the best thing you can. But finding a partner that you can trust, I think, is super important.
Imagination and creativity can solve a lot of those problems.
Yeah.
You can dream it up and think it up and get it to a proposal. Someone's going to listen.
So use your musician side of your brain a little bit too, not just the analytical, numbers crunching and trying to get it all to work. Think musically. Think of the relationship that you can have with this person, because they're probably a musician too, and speak on that term. I would say that's kind of the the hippie in us wants to promote that. But so these are tools that you can use as an institution, as a school, as a university, that I think would make finding instruments a little bit easier. Maybe some that you didn't realize that you had at your disposal. And I'm sure there's other tools that we've left off of this video. So if you have ideas, if you've gone through this process before, please leave comments of, hey, this is what I did. This is what our institution did. Hey, we said we were going to be an all-exclusive school. It didn't work out the way we wanted it to. It did work out the way we wanted it to. Please leave those comments. This is going to be a center for education and for how do we make the right decision as an institution. We hope we can help at least 1 or 2 people, maybe more than that. But it's always exciting to get new instruments. We are so thrilled that UTSA is getting some new instruments here.
That's wonderful. It's going to just keep that excitement and creativity and that lightheartedness about going forward and make learning and education fun.
Yeah. So we are so excited. If you are ever in San Antonio and looking for something to do, UTSA is always having great events, especially with their new School of Music. And so make sure you check that out. Thank you guys for watching. Again, Ted Barstow and Patrick Marr with Alamo Music here in San Antonio, Texas. And we will see you next time.